I want to start with addressing a little bit of what my challenger has stated, because it was subtly sort of implied that there was a lack of communication and or that as legislators only talk to the students. And I think that's kind of a misrepresentation of the work that I've done. I've worked with students on campus on a number of issues. A number of students have been interns of mine in Montpelier. For the many years I've been in the legislature, we've made it a regular visit to the Student Government Association meeting, both to tell folks what's going on and to listen to the questions and concerns that students have. We put out regular newsletters throughout the district, and I know a lot of students live in the district and get those newsletters, and it certainly opens the door to communication. Also, our community is one where people can talk to you on the street every day. You know, we walk through the community to go downtown. I'm at the farmers market all summer long. I have many, many students who have appreciated my coming to their classes, talking about issues, particularly environmental studies program, but I've talked with other classes as well, transportation classes. And we have a dialogue, and a lot of folks follow up with me afterwards. I had a student send me a letter in May, Sarah Poles, who sent me a letter about recycled or plastic bags and trying to get them banned in Vermont. And I'm going to look at that very seriously and submit legislation to look at that. There was legislation introduced last year in the Senate to do that. It wasn't worded very well.
In the House too.
What's that?
In the House too.
Yeah, and you know, so we're working towards that. And also, you know, I'd like to compliment Kesha on her work with respect to Representative Weston and getting a bill introduced. We do that all the time. That's not an unusual circumstance, and I'm glad that she reached out to her representative, Rachel, who introduced that bill. I'm sorry that I wasn't included in being asked to sign it. I know my district mate, Chris Pearson, did, and I would have happily signed that bill. So, you know, the communication is regularly there. It is a two-way street, but I'm pretty available all the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, quickly.
Sorry, I didn't give you my... But I would just like to say that I think it's going to take a lot more proactive leadership to make sure that we are addressing the needs of young people's future in the state. And, you know, as representing 9,500 students to 10,000 students at UVM, I didn't wait for them to come with me, to come to me with an issue. You know, when I heard that there was a Facebook group starting up about the concerns that they had, I would go right to the students who were creating it and talk to them about their concerns, whether it was community policing or noise ordinances or quality of life issues, the whole gamut of issues. There was never a point where I waited to talk to those students. And I represented a large group of the constituents in the district, and I would have loved to have been approached by you about some of the work that we were doing. I know it's a two-way street, but when we were working on the Red Cross legislation, and I went to our federal legislators, I would have loved, it was in all of the Vermont newspapers, I would have loved to have our local representatives take part in that. When we were working on divestment issues and livable wage issues, constantly there were representatives from other districts, Rachel West and Jason Lorber, who were there asking me if there were resources that I needed or asking me, you know, how they could be of service. And I think it is a two-way street, and I want to be that proactive leader.
Got it. David?
Well, and I would just argue during the livable wage campaign and debates on campus, I worked regularly with those employees and with the students who are organizing to get folks livable wages on campus. The two-way street is very real. You just indicated you reached out to the federal delegation. Why didn't you reach out to us? You know, it's something where we do very actively work to engage the students on the ground level. I'm sorry if, as the SGA president, you didn't feel as reached out to as you might have, but I reach out to the everyday students on the street. And I recognize the value of the Student Government Association and the Student Government Presidency, but I also know, as I was a student senator when I was at UVM, that ultimately it's a pretty insulated group for the most part, and really going out to talk to most students out on the street is the way to get things done. And you know, it's a large group that's represented by you, but only about 10% of the students vote in it, and they don't even have to register to vote. So I think that it's an important position. You do a lot in that, but being a representative of the district is engaging students, and it's engaging permanent residents. As someone who's lived in the district for 19 years, I've done that quite a bit from before I was a legislator and now that I've been elected. So I don't think there's a shortage of communication.
Thank you. You have 30 seconds.
I just want to say one of the things that in my history working in politics, not for my election, but working on campaigns where particularly, I guess I remember a father coming into a campaign office and saying, you know, I disagree with you guys on just about everything, he said, but I want to thank you. For the first time ever, my daughter is going to vote this year. You've finally given her a reason to vote. And I think that there's a lot of ways to engage young people, engage people across the spectrum. And the bottom line is people do need to get excited about the political process because we have really, really important issues to face. I'm proud of my history trying to do that.
Thank you. You have 10 seconds for your closing statement, which means give us one reason why people should elect you to the House. Kesha, why don't we start with you?
I would just say thank you all so much for watching, and I really bring a different perspective than most other people who are running. If elected, I would be perhaps the only person of color in the State House, and it's really important that we have new voices at the table to hammer out real solutions for Vermont.
New voices. Chris Pearson.
I would say please elect me to continue working for you in Montpelier. I feel I'm an effective voice, I work hard, and I try hard to speak up for the needs of regular folks.
Regular folks, thank you very much. David Zuckerman.
Well, I would just say, having received the endorsements of labor, the environment groups, the civil unions, equality groups, and Rep. Christy Spengler and many others, with a quote that she said, I would like to recognize the fine work of David Zuckerman and Chris Pearson. Dave and Chris are experienced, knowledgeable, and effective at advancing legislation in these needed times. And I think that's the value that Representative Pearson and I bring to the table. Thank you.
Experience. Thank you very much, each of you, for joining us.
Thanks for
We've been
having us.
speaking with the candidates from District 3-4 in the city of Burlington. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned here on Channel 17 for continued coverage of Election 2008.